Hello adventurers and welcome back to another Demon Hunter video. Today we're going to talk about a slightly different build, one that really has never been used before. I can't ever see me using this build in the past, but we all know that Demon Hunter overall has been struggling in battlegrounds against mostly melee. The builds just don't seem to work very well, so I wanted to try something a little bit different. Make use of Flayer's Banquet, which just got buffed. Make use of painsower because that's where most of our damage comes from. And I just like the playstyle of Strafe. And I wanted to build on top of the strength of Strafe, but also use some more control in the build. But I'm having a lot of fun with this build. So yeah, here it is. This build is a little bit different than any of the other builds. It blends a few different elements, one being painsower and one being control. I didn't like how Shakar Strafe with Spinning Chakram, which was the build that I've been using for the past 6 months. I didn't like how everyone was immune to knockbacks fairly often. It was very limited on its use. Yes, you had a lot of mobility, but you didn't really help your team win too much because Demon Hunter just doesn't do a whole lot of damage against melee. So I went back to the drawing board and said, well, what else can I do in order to get some more control and do damage? We know that Painsower always does a lot of damage. So I wanted to blend Painsower, Player's Banquet because it was just buffed with some of the other elements like Best Discretion, Escalating Violence, Impale, Unrelenting Furor, Puncta Obscura, which does a debuff, which reduces healing by 80% for 3 seconds and causes a bleed. And then Ruinous Path, which gives us some survivability with the evasion, and it also gives some damage buff when we use Vengeance with Flayer's Banquet. Now, that all is pretty standard, not too much different there. What is different, though, is we're going to be running 4-piece Prayer for Endwinter. The 2-piece increases damage by 15% when attacking chilled enemies, 30% when attacking frozen enemies, and the 4-piece, you have a 30% chance to freeze already chilled enemies for 3 seconds. So why does this work? Tremor Stone for Reforge has a 6% chance that makes your primary attack slow or chill an enemy. And with all 6 slots, you could have about 36% chance to slow an enemy. Also, with enchanting, you can also enchant primary attack 12% on your gear. And if you have, let's say, 100% chance to apply a slow, after Strife, it's about 33% chance or so, 35%. It's in the mid 30s to apply that slow. That is more than enough to proc our 4-piece, which says you have a 30% chance to freeze already chilled enemies for 3 seconds. So in my testing with the primary attack chill, the 30-ish% chance feels great in being able to apply a chill and ensuring that I apply another chill before the enemy's resistance takes off my chill. And you'll see in the clip a little bit later how that works, where I'll chill them and then almost instantly afterwards I'll freeze them. So that's how you apply a freeze to an enemy and still do a ton of damage with Impale and Painsower. One of the other important things is the Cursed Gear. I'm running 6-piece to tested. The main reason that you run this is melee pushes you pretty much always. And if you drop this Void on top of yourself, because it always spawns on top of you, and they run inside of it, they take 12% increased damage, which works out pretty good because if they push you and they get frozen and they're inside the void, they take a lot of damage. And we all know how prevalent melee is. They'll just push no matter what. So they'll actually eat a lot more damage if they want to push you. This helps you with your burst during your freeze or chill window. I already mentioned the Reforge for primary attack, but I run basically Vengeance in every single slot, as well as damage taken from players reduced. So it's pretty much the same thing. Attack speed, damage to players, damage to shields, or damage to enemy suffering loss control. It doesn't really matter. You just want to have 3 of the Vengeance and 1 of the Jolt Stones, and then the Tremor Stone slow. And for your greens, you want to prioritize capping your move speed first because you're going to be in precision stance and not agility stance, followed by damage done to players and damage taken from players because they are not strifed. And the reason why you want to be in precision stance is because it increases your primary attack by 10%. And make sure the last thing that you do is cap your accuracy rating at 30%. That is the max that you can have. It does get strifed to 9% in PvP, but make sure that you enchant 12%, 9%, 6%, whatever you roll. Just make sure it gets 30% on your spec sheet. That way you're capped. This accuracy is important because of how much evasion is in the game. Evasion is way better than block now. So if you completely miss a target, you do 0 damage. You don't apply any debuffs, nothing. So you want to make sure that you can stack accuracy rating to 30%. One of the things I was asked during my stream was, how does this build even work? Because you're using a 4-piece Endwinter set, you're only running 2-piece Urge, and you're running 2-piece Barons. Don't you miss the attack speed? The answer is no, because painsower got nerfed a couple times. It's not as good as it was, but this primary attack, it's in the patch notes somewhere. It's basically 4 attacks per second. So it's every 0.25 seconds, you can fire a primary attack. Before, it was 5 attacks per second. So every 0.20 seconds, you could fire your attack. But in the current meta, that 30% chance on that 0.25 basically reduces the attacks per second to about 0.22. That 0.03 seconds is not a game breaker to doing damage. Sure, does it help having more attack speed? Absolutely. But this is a good mix of control as well as still doing a lot of damage during that window. For my paragon tree, I am running Gladiator, and I'm using Cheat Death, Quick-Witted, Uncontrollable, Grizzled Veteran, and Overpower. Overpower is important because we are not running Chittering Greaves, which are the escape crit pants, or we're not running 4-piece Gloom, which gives us crit as well. So we really need to make up that crit somehow, and Overpower is the way I do that. Sometimes I will drop Overpower and pick up Rapid Recovery if I'm facing a lot of CC and I feel like I need to reduce my Uncontrollable. But most of the time, I just run Overpower, and it seems to work out pretty well. And the gems that I'm running: Bottled Hope, Misery Elixir, Blood-Soaked Jade, Whirling Consequence, Concentrated Will, Pain Clasp, Frozen Heart, and Wolf Heart. For your sockets, you want to stack Armor Pen, of course. You also want to stack Potency as much as possible. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of Potency because I just never did Potency before. I was using mostly Resistance and Armor Pen, so my Potency is lacking a little bit. But if you're lucky enough to have 8,000 Potency, or more Potency than you have Resistance, this build should work out pretty good for you. For my set pieces, I already said I'm using 4-piece Endwinter. I'm running 2-piece Urge, and then 2-piece Barons. For legendary items, running Best Discretion, Flayer's Banquet, Escalating Violence, Ruinous Path, the Excavator, Painsower, Unrelenting Fur, and Puncta Obscura. Besides those pieces, the second most important thing that you want to run is this Eternal Affix. Loss of control durations on affected enemies are increased by 16% when you critically hit them. Now, unfortunately, I only have 2 out of 4. I really want to get 4 out of 4, but I don't want to spend all my Terror Essences because the new Inferno difficulty is coming out in a couple weeks, and I don't want to spend all my Terror Essences when I'm going to be replacing the gear rather quickly. So if you do have these pieces, try to get 4 out of 4, which will extend your freeze durations for a little bit longer, and it's super important, as you'll see in the clips later. For the skills, we are running Impale, Escape, Strafe, and Vengeance. And we're also running Explosive Arrow. For skill rotation, it's pretty easy. You want to open with Impale and Vengeance. You want to dash in, and then you just want to strafe around. And then you dash away, wait for your Vengeance. You can apply Impale again, and then you run away. And it's pretty much just waiting for your cooldowns. You want to play around the 4-piece freeze and your Vengeance. That's what's going to do the most damage for you. In between the support, make sure you're just auto-attacking with Impale to apply the bleed, especially during Undying Rage on Barbs or anyone with any kind of immunity, because you want to save your strafe energy. That's what does all your damage. So if someone's immune, the damage, or if they're in their cheat death, whatever it might be, you just want to kind of sit back and just auto attack, and then you can escape through them to lock them out of their dash or their escape, and then you can lock them out again by escaping through them, and then you pop your cooldowns. Hit them with the chill, hit them with the freeze. You can escape through them. You can escape through them again, just keep them in place, and then you just, keep auto attacking while you can, while you're waiting for your energy to come back. That's the most important thing, is do damage if you can while you're waiting for strafe energy. See how this works? Let's go into a challenge rift and I'll explain how the chill and the freeze works. The first time it procs, you'll get the chill. The next time you apply the chill, you'll get the freeze. So you'll see it here. Hey, look at that. It's very, very quick how you can freeze. See? Pretty easy. That's going to do it for this video. I hope you all enjoy this new PvP build as much as I enjoyed developing this build. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you're new to this channel, we like to showcase this build in action with a little montage. Enjoy, everyone. I'll catch you all in the next one. Make sure to stay alive. Goodbye.